First-term Republican Senator Rick Scott believes that he is a rising star in the Republican Party, and he may be. But during his speech at CPAC over this weekend, he invoked violent and dangerous imagery in order to trash the Democratic Party. Here is what Rick Scott had to say. Again, Republican senator from the state of Florida. He's only in his second year, by the way, of being in the Senate. Oh, I'm sorry, not second year. It's his first term. He was 2018. But anyway, we survived the War of 1812, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Cold War. But today we face the greatest danger we have ever faced. The militant left wing in our country has become the enemy within. The militant left has now seized control of our economy, of our culture, and our country. The woke left now controls the Democrat Party, the entire federal government, the news media, academia, big tech, Hollywood, most corporate boardrooms, and now even some of our top military leaders. They're working to redefine America, silence their opponents, and that means you. They're destroying just about everything they touch, and they've got their hands on everything. Everything. The militant Democrat Party, right? Because we're the ones who, take up weapons and go storm Capitol buildings, both in D.C. and across the country, right? Those images of the people with the assault rifles outside of the Michigan State House, were those militant Democrats? Right? The Bundy family and their little multiple standoffs that they've had with the federal government, are those militant leftists? No, those are your people, Rick. That's your party. You're the ones who do that. But of course, you can say these kinds of things at CPAC because nobody's going to push back on it. CPAC is the convention where you can go make up whatever kind of crap you want, and the crowd is going to wildly cheer about it because they're idiots. That's what they are. That's what that entire room was filled with for the last 4 days. Some of the dumbest people that the United States has to offer. And of course, some really good reporters who, were covering the event. But this rhetoric is dangerous. This is the same kind of rhetoric that Donald Trump used to describe the media when he was in office, right? The enemy. Rick Scott called him the enemy within. Donald Trump called the media the enemy of the people. And how did that play out? Multiple different individuals arrested for wanting to blow up or kill members of the press. And this is Rick Scott using this same kind of imagery, the same kind of language, invoking images of war and saying that the militant Democrat Party is the enemy within. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he wants the end result of this to be. The man who had to plead the Fifth Amendment 75 times after his company was busted pulling off the largest Medicare scam in the history of the United States at the time, thinks that Democrats are the ones who are the problem. And let's talk a little bit about what he said about them controlling everything. We don't control the courts. We don't control the Supreme Court. We do not control the corporate boardrooms. What the hell are you talking about? We barely control the Senate. In fact, given Manchin and Sinema, we don't control the Senate. We do on paper, but not in practice. And all of these other things, we control Hollywood. What the hell does that even mean? What the hell would that even matter? Big tech companies. No, why don't you go look at their political donations? Pretty sure most of them are leaning pretty heavily to the right. Nothing he's saying is true, but again, doesn't matter to the crowd. He could have said that the sky is green and the sky has always been green, and they would have cheered wildly and said, yes, the sky has always been green. Because that's the level of intelligence that Rick Scott was speaking to, because that's the level of intelligence that Rick Scott apparently possesses. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to our Ring of Fire channel here.